Welcome to the River Styx, the place where alternative facts live, formerly known as the Swamp.
They're reporting this stuff. Look, you know what it is? The public isn't, they read newspapers, they see television, they watch. They don't know if it's true or false because they're not involved.
As you can see, we're slowly turning into essentially a banana republic. That's what we're turning into. And the elites basically don't care. They're pretty much done with the American people anyway. If they can find new markets elsewhere, that's what they're going to do. And they're going to rape and pillage this planet until they're done with it and it burns up. That's basically my assessment of the whole situation.
Hat seine Dick, der freut zu bleiben, wer dick. Und diese Dick.
Hello, sisters and brothers, fellow travelers on planet Earth, spinning through the cosmos and stubbing our toes occasionally. I'd like to thank Ella for that spoken part of this week's intro. Makes some enlightening, if less than optimistic, points. And I decided, how does somebody who is a pessimist go on? Well, they've done studies proving that optimists are full of shit generally. Do not face reality. Actually, slightly depressed people have been proven to be more intelligent and cognitive of their place in the world and the future, whereas the people that are eternally optimistic are shocked when the bombs start falling on them. And I've decided to never respond to trolls or people that have argumentative points of view for the sake of being argumentative, because let's face it, in the comments you get these arguments going back and forth. Nobody's going to change anybody's minds. They just get their heads set in this is the way I think, and they're closed-minded about everything. So I'm focusing on Trump only because the election is over, and I know that the Democrats are horrible. Largely the corporate Democrats are horrible, and quite frankly I don't think you're going to see any reform from them whatsoever. You've still got Debbie Wasserman Schultz in there, and it's still Chuck Schumer and all those corporate hungry people. What I worry about is this huge anti-Trump thing turning into, or being co-opted by the Democrats and saying, see, we are the revolution. No, you're not. You're just a bunch of fucking corporate puppets like the other corporate puppets. There's my politics out of the way, okay? I'm gonna calm down. I'm gonna say it's a beautiful day outside. After I'm finished this, I'm gonna go for a walk. I'm going to wonder at nature as I walk across the industrial wasteland that lies near my home and ponder the fact that life still exists even in the most barren and desperate of situations. Anybody see any of these guys that are putting out these MGTOW videos? I think it's men going their own way. They've forsaken women, but I strongly suspect that these characters never attracted very many women in the first place. I watched this with my mouth agog as this little twit who never would show his face denigrated a lady on YouTube and accused her of being a slut for having a few relationships in her life. I don't know, just normal people stuff. And come on, we all got turned down for dates by the high school beauty, but you don't let that affect your judgment for the rest of your life. And these guys never show their faces on the video. They're always just, they show somebody else's video, like some woman that they've decided is not to their MGTOW liking. And these guys are just dweeby little losers. And they're afraid of women, and that brings out this horrible misogyny. And a lot of these videos are getting thousands of views. And I'm just thinking of these whiny little guys that are afraid to ask women out or talk to them as real people, and they're complaining about how terrible women are and how awful that, you know, they will be treated. Oh man, it's people, okay? You know, sometimes people screw around people much more often than they should, but that doesn't mean that you turn on an entire gender, an entire race, an entire religion, whatever your isms are. That's just childishness. And I couldn't believe this. I couldn't believe this stuff. And there's just so much of this blind rage and hatred, especially the comments, some of the comments on YouTube. Like, do you really feel important that you can call somebody foul name on YouTube and it makes you feel powerful or something? I don't understand all the hatred. In keeping with the so-called myth of global warming, it's February here in Canada, and I have crocus blooming in my front garden. So I know it's just weather, right? It's just, you know, it's a Chinese plot or something. Holy crap, it's February. Normally we're buried in snow, or we have been in the past, but this is just bizarre. This is really weird weather. And I noticed that folks in California, it looks like the drought's over. Holy shit. You know, isn't it funny how things material goods can be wiped out in a flash, right? All the shit that you own can be lost, and you're still there, and you look at it, and you look at the pile of crap where your stuff was, and you go, well, it's just a pile of crap. And isn't that everything that we collect in our consumer culture? It's just we collect more pieces of crap, and then when we die, the saying is whoever dies with the biggest pile of crap wins.
The spiraling down. The spiraling down of Babylon continues.
Another sign of a closing society is when government starts to surveil ordinary citizens. Mussolini pioneered this. Hitler set up neighborhood spies. East Germany developed the Stasi, and China today has the Dangans.
I've been kind of sparse about answering comments because I haven't even looked at them in a week, to be quite honest. So after I've put this show together, I'm going to go and respond to my many wonderful friends out there who over the years I've grown to appreciate more and more. And wouldn't it be wonderful if we could all get together and sit around a fire? That is my dream. That would be a fantastic thing. Good people, good company. We might not save the world, but we'll have a few laughs, right? And if I can't laugh, if I can't engage in dark humor, then I am not living anymore. Then I am merely crawling into myself and fading away. And if we want to affect any change, then we've got to transcend our egos. And this is what I see as the major flaw in human beings is their ego. We all want to be recognized for things that we're skilled at, and we all want to have a place of belonging. The problem comes into it when we are stingy with the things that we consider ours, which never were ours to begin with. They are gifts that we are given to make life better for other people. Whether you're a musician or a visual artist, a filmmaker, if you don't transcend your ego, in my opinion, you will never produce any art of significant value. It's only by transcending our ego that we are able to tap into the resources that we all have when we base our work on love and not ego. And our whole society is set up in order to gratify people's egos, the worst side of us, the side that we should be taught needs to be put away with our childhood. But instead, we elevate narcissists to the highest positions of power simply because we're too lazy to stop them. Maybe. That's not much of an excuse. We manufacture things that nobody needs, but things that are sold to us on the basis of ego. And it goes from vehicles to houses to clothing. Those, as if adding those things makes you a better human. And we are so fallen in this belief. There's so much judgment and negating of others' value. Because I'm of the belief that every individual has infinite value, but that value can be squandered and wasted by using it for self-aggrandizement.
Go out. Your neighbor, your friends, somebody you don't get to know, maybe do something for them.
So how do we as humans learn to turn off this raging, consuming machine that is ego? It's by the realization that we are not separate entities. We've all got to do what we can to alleviate suffering. And I'm so tired of concerned people being called social justice warriors or snowflakes. This is a media term to denigrate people of conscience, to perhaps group them all together as some sort of collective insanity that in reality is a way to fight people that are fighting for social justice, to laugh at them, to somehow take their concerns as not valid. That's all part of the whole corporate brainwashing that we've been subjected to since birth. How many advertisements has each of us been subjected to? And how many subliminal messages in those advertisements? And how many murders have we witnessed on television? How many violent ideologies have to happen before we realize it doesn't work? The ego is death. The ego is the death of the earth, the death of the species, the death of all of us. So if we don't take steps to kill the ego, it will kill us. It's well on its way. Well, that's my happy little rant for this week, and thank you for tuning in, and thanks to all my friends. Thank you, everybody. There's so many to mention. You know I love you, and you know in your heart that we can make the world a better place. Even a little bit. Just start locally. Start on something really, really small. Some small act of kindness or mercy. It'll pay you back in droves. I guarantee it. Be well, everybody. I'll see you next week. Thanks for listening. Thanks for dropping by.